Rion had never seen space look so quiet. His small ship floated near the edge of known space, far from trade routes and patrols. The stars were like cold, tiny lights in a black ocean. There were no signs of other humans, no signals, no radio chatter, just silence. He liked this silence, but today something felt different. He checked his screens again. A weak signal blinked on his radar. At first, he thought it was a mistake, maybe just a rock or old debris. But the signal stayed. It was moving slowly, spinning, as if it had no control. "What is that?" he whispered to himself. Rion adjusted the ship's path. The closer he got, the stranger the object became. It was not a rock, and it was not any human-made craft. It looked like a silver tear, glowing faintly with blue lines across its surface. The shape was too smooth and too perfect. It was definitely a ship, but not a human one. A chill ran through him. He had heard stories about alien ruins found on distant moons, but never a working alien ship. This was something new, something alive. "Ship control, scan the object," he said. His computer beeped, showing energy readings. The ship was damaged. Pieces of metal floated around it, and one side looked burned. There was no reply signal, no sign that anyone was awake inside, but the sensors picked up life. Only one life form. Weak, Rion hesitated. He was just a scout pilot. His orders were to report strange objects, not to board them. But his heart told him that someone needed help. He could not leave someone alone in the dark. "I guess I'm going in," he said, pulling on his helmet. Rion's ship connected with the alien vessel using magnetic clamps. The sound of metal locking together echoed through his suit. He grabbed his flashlight and a small toolkit. The airlock door opened with a slow hiss, and he stepped inside. The first thing he noticed was the silence. It was so quiet that he could hear his own breathing. The second thing he noticed was the light soft blue lights glowed along the walls, pulsing like the beat of a heart. The corridor was narrow and curved, almost organic in shape. There were no buttons or switches, only smooth surfaces. Rion's hand brushed against the wall, and for a moment, he thought it was warm. "This is not like any ship I've seen," he muttered. He moved deeper inside, following the signal from his scanner. The path led him to a chamber at the center of the ship. At first, he thought the room was empty. Then, he saw the figure lying on the floor. It was wearing heavy armor, dark silver with strange markings. The helmet covered the face completely, and cracks ran across the visor. A soft mist escaped from the suit, like the life support was failing. Rion rushed over. He knelt beside the figure and tapped the armor gently. "Hey, can you hear me?" The figure did not move. He checked the scanner. Yes, there was still a weak life sign. He had to fix the suit fast, or the person inside might not survive. Rion pulled out his toolkit. "Okay, let's see what we can do." He found the crack on the helmet and sealed it with a special patch. The armor made a soft hiss, and the mist stopped. Slowly, the figure moved, just slightly, like someone waking from a long sleep. The glowing eyes behind the visor looked at him. Rion raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "It's okay. You're safe now. I'm here to help." The armored figure sat up with difficulty. It tilted its head, studying him. The person's movements were slow and careful, almost like they were not sure if he was real. Rion helped the figure stand. "Can you walk?" he asked. No words came, but the figure nodded faintly. Together, they moved back through the strange corridors. Rion kept glancing at the alien armor. It looked both ancient and advanced, with glowing lines that pulsed softly, just like the walls of the ship. Once they reached the airlock, Rion guided the figure into his own small ship. The alien ship creaked behind them, the lights flickering. It would not last much longer. When the airlock closed, Rion finally let out a breath. He removed his helmet, watching the silent figure still wearing its own cracked one. You're alive," Rion said softly. "Who are you?" The figure turned its head, as if hearing his voice for the first time. Inside the cabin, the silence was heavy. The alien figure sat in the corner, still breathing slowly, still watching him. Rion did not know what to say. Should he call command? Should he ask questions? No, something told him to just wait. After a moment, the alien reached for its helmet. Its hands moved slowly, like this was a big decision. The armor hissed as the helmet came loose. Rion's eyes widened. What he saw was beyond words. The face under the helmet was not what he expected. Her hair, silver like starlight, fell softly around her face. Her skin glowed faintly, as if light lived beneath it. Her eyes were large, clear, and bright like blue gems. Rion froze. He forgot to breathe. She looked at him with the same shock, her eyes widening. Her lips parted slightly as if she was about to speak, but stopped. For a long moment, they just stared at each other, both surprised, both silent. Then she finally spoke in a soft voice, broken but clear. "You are human." Rion blinked. His heart was racing. "Yes," he whispered. She tilted her head, almost in wonder. "You are real?" Rion did not know what to say. This was the first alien he had ever seen, and she was nothing like the creatures he had imagined from stories. She was beautiful. And somehow, in that quiet moment, he felt that this meeting was not an accident. Rion sat in silence, still unsure what to say. The alien woman, who had removed her helmet, looked at him with calm but curious eyes. Her breathing was slow and uneven, as if she had been through something terrible. He cleared his throat. I found your ship floating. It was badly damaged. Are you hurt?" She tilted her head slightly, trying to understand his words. After a moment, she spoke in a quiet voice, her accent strange and soft. "Not hurt, weak." Her voice sounded like music, but there was also pain in it. Rion stood up quickly. "You should rest. I have water, food, if you can eat human food." She gave a small nod. He handed her a small water pack. She studied it for a moment, then took a careful sip. The look on her face was one of relief, as if even water was precious to her. Rion sat across from her, still amazed. He could not take his eyes off her glowing skin and silver hair. She seemed almost like a being made of light. "What is your name?" he asked. She thought for a moment, then spoke slowly. "Era, Era," he repeated softly, trying the name. It felt smooth on his tongue, like a name that belonged to the stars. Era looked around his small ship, touching the walls, gently as if curious about everything. "Your ship's simple," she said with a faint smile. Rion chuckled. "Yeah, well, it's not as fancy as yours. Yours looked incredible, even if it was falling apart." Her expression darkened slightly at the mention of her ship. She lowered her eyes. "Hunters destroyed it." "Hunters?" Rion frowned. "Who are they?" Era's eyes sharpened, and for a moment, he saw strength in her gaze. "Machines. They hunt my kind." "I was running." Before Rion could ask more, a sudden alarm rang from his ship's console. He jumped to his feet and checked the screen. Red warning flashed. Unidentified ships approaching fast. His heart skipped a beat. "Speak of the devils," he muttered. Era stood up too, her posture alert. "Hunters," she said, her voice firm now. "Wait, they're after you. How did they track us?" Rion asked, but there was no time for answers. The radar showed 3 ships coming in from the dark side of space. Rion grabbed the controls. "Hold on, this might get rough." His small ship roared to life as he pulled it away from the wreckage of Era's vessel. A bright beam of energy shot past them, missing by only a few meters. Era leaned over him, watching the radar with him. "They fast, strong," she warned. "Yeah, I can see that," Rion shouted, jerking the ship to avoid another blast. The hunters' ships were dark and sharp, shaped like black knives cutting through space. Their weapons glowed red, and they moved like predators chasing prey. "Do you have weapons on your armor? Anything we can use?" Rion asked quickly. Era closed her eyes for a moment, then touched a panel on her arm. A faint blue hologram appeared above her wrist, showing a strange map of the sector. She pointed at a cluster of dots. "Here, path. Hide." Rion stared at the map. "Are you telling me to fly into an asteroid field? Are you serious?" Era gave a firm nod. "Hunters, not follow. Too dangerous. Well, guess we have no choice." Rion turned the ship sharply. heading toward the asteroid field she pointed to. The hunters followed, firing more energy beams. The ship shook as one blast grazed the hull. Sparks flew from the console. "Not good," Rian muttered. "Era, I hope your plan works." She placed her hand on the console, as if feeling the vibrations of the ship. "Trust me," she said simply. The asteroids grew larger on the screen. They were massive rocks spinning slowly, some glowing with ice, others jagged and sharp. One wrong move, and they would crash and be torn apart. Rian gritted his teeth. "All right, let's dance." The ship dived between two spinning asteroids. Rian twisted the controls, weaving through tight gaps while the hunters fired from behind. One of the black ships tried to follow, but clipped an asteroid and exploded in a flash of fire. "Yes," Rian shouted. "One down." Era smiled faintly, gripping the seat as he pulled another sharp turn. The remaining two hunters were still chasing, but the field made it harder for them to fire accurately. "Left," Era said suddenly. "Then down." "You're giving directions now," Rian said with a grin, but he followed. Her instincts were sharp. She seemed to know exactly where to go, almost like she could see paths he could not. After a few more dangerous turns, the radar showed that the hunters were falling behind. They could not keep up in the tight spaces. Finally, the screen cleared. No red signals. Rian let out a long breath. "We made it." That was way too close. Era leaned back, closing her eyes. For a moment. "Safe for now." Rian turned to look at her. "They really want you, don't they?" She opened her eyes and met his gaze. "They want what I carry," she said, pointing at her armor. "It is special. My people's last hope." Rian frowned. "Your people, are they in danger?" Era nodded slowly. "My world, burned. Only few of us left. I was sent to find help." Her words were heavy, and Rian felt a sudden sadness for her. He could not imagine losing his entire world. "Well, you found me," he said with a small smile, trying to lighten the mood. "I'm not much, but I'll help however I can." Era looked at him, her bright blue eyes softening. "Why?" she asked. "You do not know me," Rian shrugged. "Because you needed help, and because it's the right thing to do." For a moment, silence filled the cabin again, but this time it was not awkward. Era's expression softened, and a faint smile touched her lips. "You humans," she said quietly. "You are strange," Rian chuckled. "I'll take that as a compliment." Suddenly, the console beeped again, a warning. The hunters might have lost them for now, but they would not stop searching. Rian tightened his grip on the controls. "Looks like we're not out of this yet." Era stood, her armor glowing faintly. "Then we fight together," she said. Rian looked at her, surprised by the strength in her voice. "Together," he agreed. The small ship floated in the shadow of a huge asteroid, hidden from the hunters' sensors. Rian powered down most of the systems so that they would not be detected. The hum of the engines faded, and for a while, everything was still. Era sat quietly on the other side of the cabin. Her silver hair shimmered faintly in the dim light, and her glowing blue eyes scanned the screens as if she could read them. Rian noticed how calm she looked, even though danger was still close. "You've done this before, haven't you?" Rian asked. Era turned her gaze to him. "Run from hunters," she said softly. "Yes, many times." Her voice was steady, but there was a hint of sadness in her words. Rian leaned back in his chair. "I've only ever run from patrol drones or pirates. Those hunters of yours, there's something else." "Who are they, really?" She paused, thinking carefully about her words. "They are not alive. Machines, made by a race long gone. But now, they only destroy. They learn. They do not stop." Rian frowned. "And they're after your people?" "Yes," Era said, her eyes lowering. "We fought them for many years. We lost. My home world. It is gone now. I was sent to find help. To find someone who could stand against them." Rian stared at her for a moment, feeling a heavy weight in his chest. He could see how much pain she carried. And yet, she still looked strong. "I'm sorry," he said softly. Era tilted her head. "Sorry? In my world, we say sorry when something terrible happens to someone," Rian explained. "It means we care." Era gave a small, almost confused smile. Humans are strange. You feel so much? Yeah, we're emotional creatures, Ryun said with a small grin. We cry, we laugh, we get scared. But sometimes, those feelings make us strong. Era studied him for a moment, as if his words were something new to her. Feelings, we do not show them much. My people are taught to be calm, like stone. But you smile, even in danger. Ryun chuckled. I guess that's just who we are. If we don't smile, we go crazy. The ship gave a soft beep, signaling that the scanners were clear for now. Ryun stood up and began checking the systems. Era watched him with interest. Your ship is small, but it moves well, she said. Yeah, but it's old, Ryun replied, tapping the side of a control panel. Not like your ship. That thing looked alive. Era nodded slowly. It was grown, not built. Our ships are like living creatures. They heal themselves. But when the hunters burned it, it could not heal. Ryun raised his eyebrows. Grown? Like a plant, something like that, Era said. Our ancestors learned to shape life into tools. It is our way. Ryun whistled softly. That's amazing. Humans build with metal and fire. We're not that advanced, maybe not. Era said, looking at him. But you are different. You risked your life to save me. Why? Ryun paused, then shrugged. Because you needed help. I couldn't just leave you out there. It's what we humans do. For a moment, they sat in silence again. But this time it was a peaceful silence. Ryun felt like he was starting to understand her, even though they were so different. He glanced at her glowing armor. That suit of yours, is it a weapon? Era looked down at her chest plate, tracing a faint line with her finger. It is more than a weapon. It carries memories, knowledge of my people. Without it, I would be lost. Memories? Ryun asked. Yes, she said. The voices of the ones who came before me. When I fight, I feel them guiding me. It is like they are still here. Ryun nodded slowly. Sounds like they're still with you, in a way. That's kind of beautiful. A soft light flashed on the console. Ryun checked it and frowned. The hunters are scanning again. We can't stay here too long. Era stood, her posture straight and strong now. Then we must move. I will help you. Help me how? Ryun asked. She walked closer to him, pointing at the navigation screen. I know a path, a place to hide. But we must be fast. Ryun stared at her for a moment. Distracted by how close she was, her presence felt different. It was hard to explain, but it made his heart beat faster. As they prepared to leave, Ryun found himself glancing at her again. The way the cabin lights reflected off her silver hair and glowing eyes. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. She caught him staring. Why do you look at me like that? She asked, her voice calm but curious. Ryun froze, his face warming slightly. I've just never seen anyone like you before. You're different, beautiful, even. Era tilted her head, as if trying to understand the word. Beautiful. What is that? It means, Ryun hesitated. It means you look special. Something about you feels perfect. Era blinked, her expression softening slightly. You think I am beautiful. Ryun rubbed the back of his neck. Yeah, I do. There was a pause. Then Era smiled, just a small smile. But it was warm, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Before either of them could say more, the radar flashed red again. The hunters were returning. Ryun jumped into the pilot's seat. No time for talking now. Let's move. Era placed her hand on the console, and for a second, the ship's controls lit up brighter. I can help guide your ship, she said. Let me? Ryun glanced at her, surprised. You can do that? Yes, she said. Trust me. He nodded. All right, let's do this together. The engines roared to life once more, and the ship slipped out from the asteroid's shadow. Era's fingers moved across the console like she could feel the ship's heartbeat. Ryun smiled slightly. Okay, Era, let's see if humans and whatever you are can make a good team. She looked at him, her blue eyes glowing with determination. We will survive, together. The moment the ship left the shadow of the asteroid, alarms began to ring. Red lights blinked across the control panel. The hunters had found them again. Rion's hands tightened on the controls. Here we go again, he muttered. He glanced at Era, who was already standing beside him, her blue eyes glowing brighter as if she was ready for battle. They will not stop, she said quietly. Hunters never stop. Then neither will we, Rion replied, forcing a grin. Hold on. This will be rough. 3 black hunter ships appeared on the radar, closing in fast. They're sharp. Blade-like bodies cut through the darkness of space, and their red lights glowed like burning eyes. One of them fired first. A beam of red energy shot past Rion's ship, missing by only a few meters. The flash lit up the cabin, and the ship shook slightly from the shockwave. Too close, Rion said. Teeth clenched, he pulled the ship into a hard roll to the left. Narrowly avoiding another blast, Era placed one hand on the console, her fingers brushing the glowing lights. Go there, she said. Pointing at a dark path between 2 small moons, Rion looked at the screen and frowned. That's a gravity well. The pull from those moons will mess with the engines. They will not follow closely if you use it, Era said calmly. Trust me, Rion sighed. All right, but if we crash into a moon, it's on you. The ship sped toward the narrow space between the moons. The hunters followed, firing again. Rion twisted and turned the ship like a dancer, dodging the deadly red beams. His heart pounded as alarms screamed in his ears. Shields at 50%. The computer warned. Not good, Rion muttered, gripping the controls tighter. Era, any chance that armor of yours can shoot back? Era shook her head. My suit is not a weapon for space, but I can guide you. Turn left, now. Rion didn't question her. He turned sharply, and just as he did, a beam of energy shot past where they would have been. Era's timing was perfect. Nice call, Rion said with a quick grin. As they moved through the tight space between the 2 moons, the gravity began pulling the ship in strange directions. The controls felt heavier, and Rion had to fight to keep the ship from spinning out of control. This is insane, he said, sweat forming on his forehead. If we make it out of this alive, I'm never letting you pick a route again. Era's lips curved into a small smile. You will thank me later. The hunters tried to follow, but the gravity fields threw them off course. One of the black ships got too close to a moon and was pulled down, crashing in a burst of fire and light. That's 1 down, Rion said with a breath of relief. 2 to go. They finally broke free of the gravity well, entering a region of space filled with floating rocks and debris. It looked like the remains of a long-dead planet. Through here, Era said, pointing forward. Rion raised an eyebrow. You really like flying through dangerous places, don't you? Hunters do not like tight paths. Era explained. They are strong, but not smart like you. Rion blinked. Did you just call me smart? Well, that's a first. She tilted her head. You are clever. You move like water, not like a machine. Rion chuckled despite the danger. I'll take that as a compliment. The hunters kept firing, but the floating rocks gave Rion some cover. He weaved between them, like a racing pilot, using the debris as shields. One of the hunters fired too close to a large piece of rock, causing an explosion that blocked its path. Only one left on our tail, Rion said, eyes focused. We might make it. Era's armor suddenly glowed brighter. She pressed a small device on her wrist, and a faint blue hologram appeared in front of her. What is that? Rion asked quickly. A signal. A trick, Era said. I can send false trails to confuse the hunter. Then do it. Now, Era closed her eyes, concentrating. A wave of blue light spread out from her suit, scattering into the empty space. Behind them, on the radar, 3 new false signals appeared, each moving in different directions. The hunter behind them slowed, scanning the signals. Then, like a confused animal, it split its attention and moved toward the wrong trail. Yes, Rion shouted, slapping the console. That was brilliant. Era opened her eyes, smiling faintly. Your ship is safe for now. The ship glided into a calm stretch of space. For the first time in hours, there were no alarms, no red beams, no enemies. Rion leaned back in his chair, breathing heavily. Well, he said with a grin. That was fun. Almost died 3 times, but fun, Era. looked at him with an expression that was both curious and amused. You joke even after danger? Yeah, Rian said, still smiling. Humans do that. We laugh to keep from being scared. Era tilted her head. Strange, but I like it. Rian turned his chair to face her. So, what now? I can't keep running forever. We need a plan. Those hunters will keep coming, won't they? Yes, Era said quietly. They will come until I am gone. Or until they are gone. Rian leaned forward, his face serious now. Then we'll need to find a way to fight them. Together, Era studied him for a long moment. You would fight for me, for you, Rian said, and for anyone they would hurt next. I don't like bullies. And these hunters sound like the biggest bullies in the galaxy. Era's blue eyes softened. For a moment, she did not speak. Then she nodded. Together, then, the cabin grew quiet again. But it was a comfortable silence. Era removed the rest of her damaged armor pieces, placing them on the table. Without the heavy plates, she looked lighter, almost fragile. But there was a strength in her gaze that Rian admired. You should rest, he said gently. I'll watch the scanners. You've been through enough. Era looked at him with a small smile. And you? You will not rest? Later, Rian said with a shrug. Someone has to make sure we don't crash into a space rock. She gave a faint laugh. A sound like soft music. It surprised him, and he found himself smiling again. As she settled into the corner to rest. Rian glanced at her once more. He didn't know why, but something about her presence felt right, like they were meant to meet. In the quiet of space, with stars stretching endlessly around them, Rian whispered to himself, We're just getting started. Aren't we? Era, half asleep, murmured softly, Yes, this is only the beginning. The ship drifted in silent space, far from any star. The glowing lights on the control panel were the only signs of life. Rian sat in the pilot's seat, eyes fixed on the radar. It had been hours since the last attack, but he knew the hunters were not gone. They were out there, scanning, waiting. Era sat across from him, repairing parts of her armor. Her silver hair shimmered in the dim light. The calm way she worked made her seem less like a soldier and more like someone from another world of light and peace. Rian broke the silence. So, Era, who are you, really? She paused, her glowing blue eyes meeting his. For a moment, she said nothing, as if deciding how much to tell him. I am what you call a warrior, she said slowly, but not just a fighter. I carry the last hope of my people. In this armor lies the knowledge of my home. The hunters, they want it. Knowledge, Rian leaned forward. Like secrets, technology, yes, Era said. My ancestors created living machines, like my ship. But the hunters, they were born from our mistakes. We built them to protect us. But they turned against us. They learned too much. They became perfect killers. Rian frowned. So, these hunters, they're your people's creations. Era nodded, her expression heavy with guilt. Yes, they were made to fight for us, but now they fight against all life. They do not forgive. They do not stop. Rian leaned back, thinking. That explains why they were after your ship. But why you? Why risk everything to leave your world? Era looked down at her armor. Because I am the last carrier of the core memory. It is the map to the hunter's heart, the place where they were born. With it, we could stop them. But if they take it, they will destroy every world, every race. Her words hung in the air like a heavy shadow. Rian understood now why the hunters were so relentless. You're telling me, Rian said slowly, that you're holding the only thing that can stop these machines? Era nodded. Yes. My mission was to find someone strong enough, brave enough, to help me reach the hunter core and destroy it. Rian let out a low whistle. Well, that's a lot to take in. I'm just a pilot. I don't even have big weapons on this ship. Era looked at him, her gaze steady. You are not just a pilot, Rian. You saved me when you could have left me. You fight even when you are afraid. That is what makes you strong. Her words surprised him. He wasn't used to being called strong. Most of the time, he felt like a man just trying not to crash his ship. Rian tried to lighten the mood. You know, you're making me sound like some kind of hero. Era tilted her head. Maybe. You are. He laughed softly, If I am, I'm the kind that needs a lot of luck. And probably better guns. Era's lips curved into the faintest smile. I can give you both. Rian blinked. What do you mean? She reached out and touched the console of his ship. For a moment, the lights dimmed, then glowed brighter as if alive. Her armor pulsed with blue energy. My armor can share energy. With your ship, Era explained, I can give it speed, power, even shields. Not forever, but long enough to survive. Rian's eyes widened. You can do that. That's incredible. As the ship hummed softly with new energy, Rian felt a wave of confidence. Maybe they did have a chance. So, he said, turning to her, what's the plan? We can't just run forever. We need to hit back. Era looked thoughtful. There's a relay station not far from here. If we take it, we can send a signal. A message to anyone who will listen. Maybe your people. Maybe others. We need allies. Allies. Huh? Rian tapped the console. I like the sound of that. But the relay station, is it guarded? Yes, Era said simply. By hunters. Rian groaned. Of course it is. It's never easy, is it? The ship's radar beeped. Rian leaned forward. Speak of the devils. We've got movement. 2 hunters on the edge of the scanner. Era stood, her armor glowing faintly. They will not stop. They will follow us to the relay station. We must be faster. Rian cracked his knuckles. Then let's see what your magic armor can do. Give me everything you've got, Era. Touched the console again, and the entire ship came alive with a bright blue glow. The engines hummed with new power, stronger than Rian had ever felt. Ho, he said with wide eyes. I think my old ship just became a race car. Era smiled faintly. Now, we run. And we win. The ship shot forward like a beam of light, the stars blurring past. The hunters gave chase. But they were slower now, unable to match the strange energy Era had given the engines. Rian felt the ship's controls respond like never before. I could get used to this, he said with a grin. Do not get too comfortable, Era warned. This power will not last long. We must reach the relay before it fades. Got it? Hold on. Rian said, pushing the throttle even harder. As they sped through space, Era sat beside him, her gaze calm but focused. Rian stole a quick glance at her. She didn't look like a warrior now. She looked like someone carrying the weight of an entire world on her shoulders. You know? Rian said softly, you don't have to do this alone anymore. Era turned to him, her expression unreadable. You would fight with me? Of course, Rian said without hesitation. I mean, I'm already involved. Might as well save the galaxy while I'm at it. For a second, Era just stared at him. Then, for the first time, she laughed softly. The sound was warm, like the gentle ring of wind chimes. As they approached the edge of the next sector, the relay station came into view. A tall, metallic tower floating between two small moons, its antennae reaching toward the stars. But around it, hunter ships patrolled like wolves guarding their prey. Rian whistled. Well, that looks fun. You sure about this? Yes, Era said firmly. We must take it. It is our only chance. Rian grinned, feeling that strange fire inside him again. Then let's make some noise. The relay station floated like a silent tower in space. Its long antennae glimmered under the light of a distant star, while its metal body reflected the cold emptiness around it. But the peaceful look was a lie. Several hunter ships circled the station like sharp blades, moving in perfect formation. Their red lights scanned the space around them, searching for any sign of intruders. Rian stared at the scene from the cockpit window. There's no way we can just fly in. We'll get cut to pieces before we even get close. Era stood beside him, calm and thoughtful. We cannot fight them with strength alone. We need a plan. Rian turned his chair to face her. All right, I'm listening. You're the one with the advanced alien brain here. She raised an eyebrow slightly, but ignored his teasing. The relay station has a docking bay underneath. It is less guarded. If we can distract the hunters, we can land there. Rian leaned back. Distract them? What do you have in mind? Era tapped the glowing panel on her wrist. My armor can release a burst of energy bright and hot. It will appear like an explosion to their sensors. If I launch it away from us, they will follow it. Rian nodded slowly. All right, that could work. But what about when we get inside? I'm not exactly carrying a weapon. Era's eyes softened, almost like a faint smile. Then you will stay close to me. Rian tried not to look nervous as he piloted the ship lower, moving carefully through the dark shadows cast by the moons. The hunters didn't notice them yet, but they would soon. All right, he said, taking a deep breath. Let's do this. Era pressed her hand against the console. A surge of blue light shot from her armor, forming a glowing orb that floated out of the ship and sped toward open space. It pulsed brighter and brighter until it looked like a star exploding. Immediately, the hunters reacted. Two of the black ships broke formation and shot after the false signal, scanning it aggressively. Nice trick, Rian said, impressed. That gives us an opening. Go now, Era said. Rian pushed the controls, sending the ship diving toward the underside of the station. They moved fast, staying in the shadow of the metal tower. One hunter ship remained nearby, but it was on the far side. Almost there, Rian muttered. His hands tightened on the controls as they approached the docking bay. The ship slid inside the docking port with a soft thud. Rian powered down the engines to keep from being detected. We're in, he said, standing up. Time to see what this place is hiding. The station's airlock opened with a slow hiss, releasing a faint cloud of mist. Rian grabbed his flashlight and followed Era inside. The corridor they entered was cold and quiet, filled with the hum of machines. The walls were smooth and metallic, with glowing lines running like veins through them. Era moved like a shadow, silent and focused. Her armor glowed faintly, casting a blue light that made the walls shine. Rian tried to keep up, his boots echoing softly against the floor. Where's everyone? He whispered. Hunters do not need people, Era said. This place is controlled by machines. Rian shivered at the thought. A station run entirely by machines felt wrong. As they reached the control chamber, Era stopped and studied the panels. I will connect my armor to the relay, she said. But we must hurry. Once I start, they will know we are here. Rian glanced at the doorway. Then I'll keep watch. Just do your thing fast. Era knelt by the main console, placing her hand on it. Her armor lit up, sending streams of blue energy into the station's systems. The panels flickered as if waking from a long sleep. What are you doing exactly? Rian asked, watching nervously. Sending a call, Era said. Softly, a message across the stars. Anyone who can help us will hear. Before Rian could respond, a loud alarm blared through the station. Red lights flashed along the corridor. They found us, Rian said, gripping the side of the door. Era stood up, her eyes sharp. Then we fight, from the far end of the corridor. Metal claws clicked against the floor. 3 hunter drones rolled into view, their black frames glowing red. They moved like spiders, their sharp legs cutting into the metal floor. Oh, I hate those things. Rian muttered, backing up. Era stepped forward calmly, her armor pulsing. Stay behind me. The first drone charged, but Era raised her hand, and a wave of blue energy burst from her armor, slamming into the machine. It shattered into pieces with a loud crack. Rian's jaw dropped. Okay, remind me never to make you angry. The second drone fired a red beam. Era twisted to the side with lightning speed, her movements graceful and fast. She struck the drone with a glowing blade that extended from her wrist, slicing it in half. To down, Rian said. Impressed but still nervous. 1 to go. The last drone leaped toward them. Rian instinctively grabbed a metal pipe from the floor. He swung it hard, hitting the drone's side. It staggered just enough for Era to finish it with a blast of energy. Rian blinked. Did I just help? Era glanced at him and nodded. You were brave. That is enough. The alarm continued to blare. Era returned to the console and pressed her hand to it again. The message is sent, she said. But the hunters will not allow us to leave easily. Great, Rian muttered. So now we fight our way out. Yes, Era said. Her calm voice carried a quiet strength. Together, they ran back through the corridors toward the docking bay. The station's lights flickered as more drones activated, their metallic footsteps echoing in the distance. Rian glanced at Era. You sure we can make it? She looked at him with a faint smile. I do not know, but I trust you. Her words gave him a strange warmth. He grinned despite the danger. All right then, let's do this. As they reached the ship, another hunter ship outside the station turned toward the docking port, its red lights glowing brighter. Time to go, Rian shouted. Jumping into the pilot's seat, Era climbed in beside him, her hand glowing as she touched the console. I will give the ship speed. You fly. The engines roared with power as they shot out of the docking bay. Just as a red beam sliced through the space they had left, too close, Rian muttered, pulling the ship into a sharp roll. I hope that message of yours was worth it. Era looked at him, her blue eyes calm. It was. Now we wait for an answer. The ship flew out of the relay station's shadow, engines glowing with blue energy from Era's armor. Behind them, the hunters moved fast, their sharp black bodies shining with red light. They're not giving up, Rian muttered, pulling the controls hard as a beam of red energy cut across their path. We've got at least 3 on us now. Era stood beside him, calm but focused. They know I sent the message. They will chase us until we are gone. Well, we're not planning on being gone, Rian said through gritted teeth. He twisted the ship sharply, rolling to avoid another shot. We just need a plan to take them out. Era's glowing hand touched the console. I can give the ship more power, but it will not last long. We must choose, fight or run. Rian's lips tightened. Running won't work forever. We'll have to fight, but on our terms. The hunters closed in, forming a triangle around them. Their red beams charged up, ready to fire. Hang on, Rian said, gripping the controls. He pulled the ship into a steep dive toward a nearby asteroid field. If we can get them into those rocks, we might stand a chance. Era looked at the radar and nodded. The asteroids will slow them, but it is dangerous, Rian smirked. Danger is my middle name. Well, not really, but let's pretend it is. Era gave him a small, confused look but said nothing. The ship entered the asteroid field, weaving between spinning rocks the size of mountains. The hunters followed, their sharp bodies cutting through the narrow paths. All right, Rian muttered. Let's see if we can even the odds. Era moved to the weapon panel. Her glowing fingers touched the old controls, and suddenly, Rian's ship hummed with power it never had before. You upgraded my weapons, Rian said, wide-eyed. Your ship had energy ports, Era explained. I've filled them with what? With hope, Era said simply. Rian chuckled despite the tension. Well, I'll take hope over nothing. Let's see what this baby can do. The first hunter appeared on the radar, flying close on their left. Rian pressed the trigger, and the ship fired a bright blue blast that shot straight through the hunters. Shield! The black ship exploded in a burst of light and metal. Rian stared at the smoking debris. Oh, I'm never going back to normal weapons after this. Era's eyes glowed. There are 2 more. Do not celebrate yet. The second hunter fired from behind. The ship shook as the red beam grazed the back hull. Warning lights flashed on the panel. Not good. Rian muttered. We can't take too many hits like that. Era stood beside him, scanning the radar. Turn right, then down. Down? Rian glanced at her. There's a huge rock below us. Trust me, Era said calmly. Rian sighed. Fine, but if we crash, I'm blaming you. He turned the ship down, skimming the surface of the asteroid. At the last moment, the hunter fired, but the beam hit the rock instead, creating a shower of glowing debris. Ha! Nice call, Rian said, grinning. The last hunter was fast and clever. It stayed behind them, dodging every blast Rian fired. This one's tough, Rian said. Any ideas? Era's gaze sharpened. I can overload my armor. If I release all its energy at once, it will create a wave strong enough to destroy the hunter. Rian's eyes widened. Overload. Wait, won't that hurt you? She hesitated. It will weaken me. But it is the only way. No, Rian said firmly. We'll find another way. I'm not letting you burn yourself out. Era looked at him, surprised by his tone. Rian, don't Rian me, he said with a grin. I'm the pilot. If someone's going to do something crazy, It's me. He studied the asteroid field, an idea forming in his mind. I've got a plan. It's risky, but it might work. Era tilted her head. What is it? I'm going to use the rocks, Rian said. We'll lead the hunter through a narrow gap and smash it. Smash it? Era repeated. Rian grinned. You'll see. He pushed the throttle, speeding toward a cluster of spinning asteroids. The hunter followed, firing again, red. Beams lit up the dark as Rian twisted and rolled the ship through the tight spaces. This is insane, he muttered, sweat forming on his forehead. But it might just work. Era gripped the side panel. Tell me what to do. Time the shot, Rian said. When I give the word, hit the asteroid above us with your energy blast. She nodded. Understood. They flew into a narrow tunnel formed by 3 massive rocks. The hunter followed, staying close. Wait for it, Rian muttered, his eyes locked on the radar. Wait now. Era raised her hand, releasing a sharp burst of blue energy. It struck the asteroid above, cracking it apart. Massive chunks of rock collapsed behind them, crashing down on the hunter ship. The black machine tried to escape, but the falling debris crushed it, breaking it into burning pieces. Rian let out a long breath. And that, my friend, is how humans play dirty. Era looked at him with a faint smile. Clever. You are unpredictable. I'll take that as a compliment, Rian said, still smiling. With the hunters gone, the ship glided into open space again. Rian leaned back in his seat, exhausted but happy. Well, we survived, again. That's becoming a habit. Era sat beside him, her glowing eyes calm. Your people, they are full of surprises. You make choices that I would never make, and yet, you win. Rian looked at her. We're stubborn. That's our secret weapon. Era's lips curved into a small smile. Then maybe, together, we can stop the hunters. Yeah, Rian said, his tone serious now. We're not done yet. We sent your message. Someone out there will hear it, and when they do, we'll be ready. For a moment, silence filled the cabin. The stars stretched endlessly outside, glowing like tiny fires. Rian glanced at Era. So, what happens now? She looked at him, her voice soft. Now, we wait for an answer. And then we fight again. Not just for me, but for everyone. Rian smiled, feeling something warm inside him. Then I guess I'm in it for the long run. You're not getting rid of me, Era. Era's eyes glimmered with something he hadn't seen before. Trust. I would not want to. The ship drifted quietly through the stars, carrying 2 lives bound by fate and courage. Though the battle was far from over, Rian knew one thing for sure: he and Era would face whatever came next together.